Now I often talk very highly about the borderless stickers. Usually the ones with no alternatives end up being very profitable investments, but not always. Today we're going to be focusing in on the Copenhagen major, but first up we're going to talk about the Paris stickers that were borderless with no alternatives and how they're looking. And you can see, looking at this data right here, it's not equal all across the board. There's obviously some of them that do seem like they're on a decent trajectory, but there's also a lot of them that don't seem like they have much growth behind them and much potential behind them. That's extremely important because today we're going to be talking about at least some of the teams that are potentially qualifying for the Copenhagen major and what the implications are going to be for those stickers along with these Paris ones moving along in the future. SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. Now you're probably pretty familiar with me talking about the no alternative stickers, but why do I do this? This is because they end up significantly outperforming nearly every type of sticker we see and nearly every investment from a specific major inside of this area. It's a very niche investment, but the truth is because people don't have any other options, they have to apply this one singular sticker, which makes this sticker absolutely explode if it's a little underdeveloped during and the demand is still there afterwards. Right now we're only about 2 months out from the actual start of the Copenhagen major, but we're looking at our American qualifier and we're almost fully complete. That's because we've got 9 of the 16 teams and the other 7 are going to be coming in relatively soon. Now the teams competing so far are going to be Complexity, Furia, M80, Nouns, Liquid, Boss, Bad, Wildcard, and Rocket. Now out of the total 16 teams, 5 of them are going to make it in, but the interesting part about this is if we want to look at these, there's a lot of these North American teams that have made it in that don't have stickers out there. In fact, only 3 of the 9 teams that are currently qualified actually have stickers. Now the South American qualifier is a little bit different. There's a lot of well-known teams there just because there's not a ton of competition. Now talking about Paris earnings, HLTV recently came out with this article right here, supposing that Paris brought in 110 million, not in total, but just for the teams, which means that's a $220 million total because obviously half of the value goes to Valve. Now that's very interesting. I went ahead and DM'd them and they said they got a source in every single one of the capsules to go ahead and give them that amount, and that's how they ended up with this grand total. It's very possible this is actually the real number. Now for me personally, I look at this number and I actually think this is a relatively positive movement for Paris investors. If we want to look at these unboxing estimates from October 1st right here, we can see that we're at almost 450 million capsules unboxed. Compare that to the fact that we have a possible 880 million capsules out there, and that's obviously implying that every single one of those capsules was purchased at 25 cents and not at $1, which a lot of capsules are purchased at $1 every single time, and I think it's a very decent outlook. A lot of people are very pessimistic about this, but I think this, relatively speaking, is about as good as Paris can get. We knew there was a massive supply, and having an actual set number is not a bad thing. Now there's a lot of stickers out there to watch, and specifically it comes down to Copenhagen if they're borderless, but there's definitely ones that should be on your mind. First up we got Monty. They're ranked number 6 in the world. Cloud9 is a big one, ranked number 9. It's very possible that they could be qualifying for the Copenhagen major, which could be very detrimental to some Antwerp investors. Also, don't forget that this is the first major where we're seeing the Virtus Pro lineup, not as the outsiders, and we've got Eternal Fire possibly making it for the second time ever. So there's a lot of stickers out there that have one borderless alternative out there right now, but it definitely could change in the future. Remember too, it's not going to be the same exact format that we've seen previously. We're not going to have a Legends, a Contenders, and a Challengers most likely because we don't have these stages anymore. Instead, we've got the opening stage, which was the Contenders and the Challengers. Then the top 8 teams are going to be moving on to play the 8 teams of the elimination stage, which was previously the Legends. Obviously, they could still definitely work it out that if they wanted the 3 capsule format, it's very possible it could return, but it's definitely not guaranteed at this point, which would be very interesting considering the amount of money it just generated previously if they decided to switch things up. Now some teams that are not going to be at the next major guaranteed is going to be the Evil Geniuses. That's because they've went ahead and disbanded their lineup. Now obviously they do have some stickers in the game and it brings up a very possible investment opportunity. I would say strongly avoid this. The Evil Geniuses logo is not one that's desirable by pretty much anyone out there, and I don't think anyone's really seeing this as a major investment opportunity because they're super low demand. Otherwise we're not going to be seeing NRG or the Party Astronauts. That's because they're the only 2 notable teams that going through the Americas RMR completely failed. I don't know how they didn't get in with all these no-name teams, but somehow they didn't. Now a lot of people are really worried that we're going to see a lot of prices crash down for a lot of stickers when the Copenhagen major finally releases its stickers, and it's very possible it might see that, but on the other hand we might see some pretty massive profit. I want to look at the Mouse Hollow specifically because we have the release of Stockholm, which is the base one, but then we also had the Rio and the Paris release. If you remember, Rio was really bad looking, and you can see that it actually increased the price quite significantly of these stickers that were desirable during that time from Stockholm and Antwerp. It's very possible that some of the non-alternative borderless stickers out there right now could increase in price if we do see something like this return again. And then obviously we do have that major fall off when we saw the Paris mouse sticker released. It's very possible we could see something to a lesser extent like this for two specific stickers that I think are very possible to qualify for Copenhagen. The first of which is going to be Cloud9. Cloud9 is on an absolute tear for the past 2024 and 2023 season, and I think it's very likely we could find them in Copenhagen, which obviously leaves it up to a chance if we're going to see Borderless for Copenhagen. The second of which is going to be the Eternal Fire sticker, also a very expensive sticker from Antwerp. It's definitely possible we could see this one once again return for Copenhagen, and therefore it puts itself in the same situation as we mentioned earlier, where it has the possibility to decrease in price if it comes out with another borderless option. Now, when specifically we would expect to see these stickers is definitely up for interpretation. If we want to look at the past data, we have seen stickers come out over 20 days in advance, but if we want to look at the past couple, we're most likely going to receive them in the week of March 4th to March 8th. This seems like recently it's been the most logical time for Valve to go ahead and release these items. Now, what would happen when the Copenhagen stickers go ahead and release and they were actually bordered and they don't look absolutely spectacular, but they don't look bad? They're middle of the line. I think this would be a very positive thing for not only Stockholm, Antwerp, but specifically Paris. Paris is in a very interesting spot right now because if we want to look at the capsules, obviously on buff, they are actually down very slightly. Over here on the Steam market, they're relatively even, and I think it would be a very possible time for them to go ahead and start to see some of that growth we expected to see quite a while ago. Obviously, we know the supply is massive, but people are going to be opting for Paris. Right now, Paris has the largest market share of the sticker market out there. That's because right now it's so cheap, it's so desirable, and at the end of the day, it's one of the better looking stickers in the overall game, and I think people are definitely going to be more attracted to that unless we start to see some really good looking stickers from Copenhagen. But after the past couple that haven't been borderless, I don't know exactly what to expect. Now, should you go ahead and sell your Paris, your Stockholm, all of your borderless stickers? I think the obvious answer is quite definitely no, unless there's a very small stipulation in there, and that's going to be if you have some of those Cloud9, Eternal Fire, wait ahead and see if those are some of the teams that do qualify for the Copenhagen Major. It could be very possible that you want to go ahead and sell out of these. These items have seen some pretty massive growth in the past, and therefore that does make them quite susceptible to dropping down very significantly if we haven't seen the application rates be absolutely massive, which is something we haven't seen in this area. Otherwise, I think it's a mistake to sell your Paris, your Stockholm, and your Antwerp as an overall capsule. The capsule investments are very strong. Obviously, capsules we know can't be unboxed. Once you unbox a capsule, it's gone, and the supply of them is only going to ever be decreasing, and I think it'd be a very poor move to go ahead and do so. The two most important things you can do right now, first of which is going to be not buying into anything specifically because of hype, whether that's hype around Chinese New Year, whether that's hype around the Copenhagen Major, we don't exactly know, so just be there and be present when something like that happens. Second thing is going to be paying attention to these RMRs. These RMRs are very crucial to obviously see who qualifies, but to give you a significant advantage in the overall market by actually knowing what's going on with these specific teams. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.